I don't like it when it's too quiet. I'd be very distraught if there wasn't many plates dished out for dinner. So, having 5 children in the house is perfectly normal for me. If there's any less, I start getting a bit agitated, to be honest. So I'm Dr. Linda O'Rourke. I am both an assistant professor in the Institute of Mental Health at Nottingham University, but also I'm a foster carer, so I look after children and I'm a parent. There was a build-up before lockdown, and as a family, with all the children, we would watch the news and we'd try and convey what the news was trying to tell us to the children, particularly those that didn't really understand what was happening. We didn't really understand what was happening, and when it hit us that we had lockdown, it was very challenging to make sense of that in terms of the children we looked after. So the children we looked after, they were interested, are we going to get to see our parents, our birth family? Are we going to get to see our friends? What does that mean in terms of the social workers coming around the house? Are they still coming to visit me? Are we all going to die? Are my parents going to die? What if you guys die? Where will I go? So we had all those questions right from the offset. So, as you can imagine, looked after children anyway, they're more susceptible to mental health issues. So they're a vulnerable group. So as you can imagine, the anxiety is sky high through the roof. So it's about maintaining the anxiety, calming the children down, saying it's okay, we've got this, we can manage this. If anything, we can make this into a positive thing wherever possible. But it was challenging, and in all honesty, we were scared. As adults, me and my partner, we were scared. Yeah. Local authorities have a duty of care to support these children. I think society should have that same duty of care to support these children, to stay in education, to get that education, to maintain those relationships that are positive for them, that helps them. So I think lockdown in particular had such a huge impact on that particular group. And it's the same with friendship groups. For children and young people, and not just looked after children, but all children and young people. It's such an important part of their development. Risk taking with your peer group. As adults, we can look back and say, yeah, we did that. We made that mistake. We've done so many things. And that's necessary for good development. It's necessary to take certain risks. It's necessary to enjoy having time with your peer group. It's such an essential part of development, neurological development as well. So these children of this era, of this during the lockdown, they've really struggled. They would struggle with their development because they've been denied that social contact. Now, we educated at home. We did that during the first lockdown entirely, but that's because the children we have in placement with us are on the autistic spectrum. One child, she has ADHD, and we sent her during the last lockdown to school because she was struggling at home to the extent where she really needed to see her friends. And it was about her friendship groups. She desperately needed to see her friends to the point where it was having such a negative impact on her education. She wasn't able to concentrate. She wasn't able to learn, and that was really inhibiting her. So we had to make the decision, okay, what do you feel is best? And communicate with her as well as with the social workers and with school about what they all felt was best. But I think it's really important over the next so many years with our children and young people, we really try and seek out what they want to tell us, and we listen to their narrative. If we don't listen to what they're saying, we're not going to be able to support them. Okay, and I think too many people in society, whether it's school, whether it's in mental health, whether it's local authorities, too many people actually ignore what children and young people are saying. I think we really need to listen, and we need to seek out how they feel. That's right, that power of control, having control. If you have control, you're instantly more resilient. So if you take away that control, a person's control, then you are impacting their ability to be self-resilient. Emotional regulation is really key. So how we regulate ourselves, how we regulate our own emotions is really important. And it's really important that children learn this during childhood and during their adolescence. So emotional regulation is really huge. You always have to look at the risks involved, but you have to look at the well-being of the individual. So those with mental health issues during this pandemic, we do have to make special adjustments to meet their needs. If we don't make those special adjustments to meet their needs, we're failing them as a society. And you can't just fail large cohorts of people within society. You can't do that. So you have to do a risk assessment, but you have to look at the individual needs. And key workers, are there to do their job. As a foster carer, I'm a key worker. And what that means is, if a child has contact with their family, I should support that. If that's a risk assessment that needs to happen because of COVID, then that's a risk assessment that needs to happen, but I'm there to support that. I think there's been a lot of anxiety for a lot of foster carers. I was reading in the research I've recently done about some children being denied contact, not because of the social services, because their foster carers have been too anxious to allow that contact to go ahead because they're fearful they would bring COVID into the house. Now, at one level, I really understand that. I think that's inadequate training. I've received no training on how I should manage COVID as a foster carer. There's many foster care, as a matter of fact, all foster carers I've spoke to haven't received any training on how we should manage COVID as foster carers. So if there are anxieties out there, why are they out there? Why haven't they been laid to rest? Why hasn't more lateral flow testing been done where, on the early stages for looked after children in particular as a vulnerable cohort group? So, I think foster carers need training on how to manage certain situations. And this pandemic came and hit everybody. And it hit foster carers too. It hit looked after children, but it also hit foster carers. And there's a lot of foster carers with a lot of anxieties. And as we return to our new normal or to normal, those anxieties are still going to be there. And so we need to know how we need to react to that and how we best support foster carers to help them support looked after children.